Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and welcome back to DC's Titans. This time we're on episode 12. Last time we had Dick in prison. Dick spent some time in prison, and he didn't want any special. He was offered special treatment by one of the guards, who also kind of happened to be, deeper in law enforcement, just like him. But then he declined it. He didn't want any special treatment. He wasn't going to help anybody. He wasn't going to be like the prison snitch, former cop, or anything like that. So he just wanted to he wanted to sit and wallow in his own kind of self-punishment whilst in prison. But given that he then got sent into Gen Pop with the Corto Maltese who were trying to escape the clutches of the other prison inmates and also the people back home, that didn't quite go to plan. So he ended up, at the end, he ended up actually helping them escape, and sending them on their way and stuff. So then he paid the price for it. But we saw him kind of trying to keep to himself, but the struggle of being with the Corto Maltese, knowing that they were trying to escape, and also knowing how they could escape and what they could do, but also just not really wanting to help people, not wanting to have to help people. We saw that kind of struggle going on, and then we heard the story from one of the boys about the bird Alazor. I think is it Alazor, a bird that lives between the moon and the stars and comes down in the time of greatest need and helps people. So I think that served as a really kind of good kind of motivating factor for Dick to actually, like, not obviously not become Nightwing in that episode, but it did kind of, I think it did definitely set him on like a new path to actually find a way to help people. So he now he's on his way to discovering exactly who he's going to be now that he's dropped Batman and Robin and all that stuff behind. Now he still wants to help people. He still wants to, but I think this season it's been a rocky road. It's been a very, very kind of rocky journey with the story and all the characters involved and everything. So damn it. So with the Deathstroke stuff coming back, I think the story they went for is the fact that like the past comes back to haunt them, and Dick, especially Dick, knowing what he did. Like for one thing, he got Jericho killed, so he's been carrying that guilt with him the entire time. But also, he lied to his teammates about it. He lied to the original Titans about how it actually happened and stuff like that. So he's got a lot of baggage. He's got a lot of mental and emotional kind of baggage. So he's been kind of lugging that around and finding a way to deal with it. So now, I think he eventually he basically did become Alazor. He basically did become Alazor at the end of the last episode. So it'll be cool to see how he moves forward and exactly what kind of what kind of identity he crafts for himself going forward. So that'll be cool. But he saved the Corto Maltese and then got beaten up for it in the end, so that was Dick. We saw Rachel. Rachel left Donna in the episode before that and then went to a nearby soup kitchen and tried to catch a free kind of dinner from there. So then there she met another young girl running away from like a familiar, like a background of familial troubles and everything. But then someone from said family came to pick her up and gave off a very, very threatening vibe. So Rachel went into her own little Titan zone, Titan mode, and brought out her powers and scared the guy off. So on the one hand, she scared the guy off, befriended the young girl, went to her place where she lives, and met all these other girls. So now I think this episode we might see her helping each of them, or at least most of them in some way. But on the other hand, her powers got left behind. A little wisp of her powers got left behind, and it reanimated a gargoyle off of the nearest building, and then that gargoyle went and just brutalized the man, tore his leg off, tore his arms off, and tore his chest open, just killed him, just mauled him to pieces, and left him next to a dumpster. So her powers at this point, I think there may be some kind of emotional side to them, because I think when she brings her powers out, I think she has like some semblance of control over them so far, but there are still times, there are still moments when her powers are kind of more emotionally driven, and she's kind of, in this instance, like, she was kind of finishing the job of taking the guy out, so, that was like making sure the guy wouldn't really come back and hurt the other girl again. So I think with that, that there is that kind of development that like once she unleashes them, she is somewhat more emotionally charged and emotionally driven. So whatever was left behind did exactly that. It actually finished off the job that other side of her may have wanted to do, to actually kill him, get the job done, just take him out forever. So Donna's been on her trail. And she's been kind of reporting back to Dick through voicemail ever since. So she's tracking all of this stuff. So I feel like she might come in at some point and actually help the girls and do whatever is needed. But that was all of that. And then we had Connor and Gara and Crypto. Connor left and Crypto found his way to the Titan's tower and then alerted Gar to Connor's whereabouts, and then they brought him back to the tower, and then Cadmus was on their trail and Cadmus invaded the tower. Then Mercy kind of, convinced Connor to give himself, Gar, and Crypto up to them. So they have him somewhere else, and they have Gar in like a power dampened kind of a straight jacket of some sort. So they have plans. I mean, they have obvious plans with Gar and Crypto, with Connor and Crypto. They have obvious plans with him, but after finding out that Gar himself has powers to turn into a tiger, she also wants to do stuff to him, and she also knows Niles Caulder. She said that Cadmus had actually crossed paths with Niles Caulder in the past, and they were kind of aware of his research and his experiments, and probably even of the Doom Patrol in this universe at least. So yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting stuff. So I think she did say that she at the end of the episode she did say that she wanted to send Gar back to the Titans because that's what he wanted to be. He wanted to be a Titan. He wanted to be back with his team. So I think she might either put him into like a permanent tiger lock, make him transform, but then lock him into that kind of position, or do the same thing, like do that, but actually unlock other animals for him, unlock his ability to turn into other animals, and then set him loose on the Titans, because she said sending him back to the team seemed like a wonderful idea. So I think she's got some tricks up her sleeve of actually causing a ruckus and putting the Titans onto a more negative radar. So we'll see. We will see exactly what happens, but that is pretty much all I've got from the last one. So on to episode 12. As always, this will be the highlight reel. So if you guys want to watch the full-length reaction to this episode, all you need is your own copy of the episode to sync up, and then it'll be good to go. That will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that out over there. And yeah, that is it. So on to episode 12 of Titans. Let's go.
You could bring it back in.
They're messing with his brain! They're fucking Tahitiing him! What? Dawn, Rachel? Oh, they're extracting information about the team.
You, Rachel!
Drill deeper here, please.
Oh, drill deeper there, like a aggressive, negative memory. Yeah, something that draws out the tiger in him. You manipulative bastards. Jericho.
You're missing something, son.
Is he in his body? Is he in Slade's body? Is that what the intention is? I don't know if I can see that happening, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we would have seen signs of that, but then the sign would have been in that scene. Yeah, and it's just me, but I didn't catch on to any of those signs, so that's just me, but could have been more obvious to a keener eye.
Dick, what's happening?
Oh! Oh! Oh, Deathstroke! Oh! Oh, there's a Demon Eyes. That's not even Red Crosshairs anymore, that's Demon Eyes.
You look rough. Thanks. Get your life right, lady. You know what?
Yeah, this is... Oh. Yeah, no, that kid is pretty... has got quite the attitude for her age.
Nope. No.
No? No.
No.
Keeping the photo? Keep the the photo's a good photo. It's a good picture at least, so keep that. Yeah. Tarot cards?
Your past.
Tarot
the tower.
cards.
Upheaval. That man beat me until I pissed blood. I hope he died screaming.
Looks like Rachel granted her wish. Rachel's powers granted her wish. Yeah, that is fucking... That description alone warrants a lot of punishment.
Isn't that what humans do? Console themselves with frivolous pleasures so they don't have to think for 5 fucking seconds?
That's a fair point. It's usually either alcohol or sex. Or both. Sometimes it's both. Or stress eating. Yeah.
Last year I forgot.
Yeah, here's where the alcohol comes in, yeah.
We have the best donuts north of Area 51. Old-fashioned
That's very specific.
And of course,
Yeah, on the way to meet aliens, then just pick up some donuts too. Then maybe you can introduce the aliens to some donuts. I love that it's a truck called Ram. I love that.
Quitter.
He's not really there. Oh Christ! Oh, oh, oh! Damn!
We're wasting time.
fuck off!
Oh jeez! Oh.
We busted 3 drug rings last night.
Hey.
Oh, they've been
Could've
crime
stopped it,
fighting.
Liar. You don't know my life. I could be a serial killer. Or worse.
Yeah. Maybe I like cereal.
I
then
figured
you
he would say
should
something like that.
say
Yeah. I figured he'd try
Why are you
and
being so weird?
romanticize that.
Donuts.
Yeah, jellies.
We don't make donuts.
What?
Pie or cake.
That
You
advert
choose.
was total BS. That commercial was
That's disgusting.
total BS.
She stole my damn crown and marooned me on this ridiculous planet. So if you've got flour, eggs, and sugar back there, I'm gonna need you to go and figure it out, okay?
Okay.
Donuts. Coming right up.
Did you destroy the bell? She just melted that bell. She melted the bell. And Donna. All the ladies are here. All the ladies are back together again.
You called me and told me to come here.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Wait, she didn't invite any of them?
Went out. Corey?
I'm just here for the donuts.
Wait, who the fuck is this? No way! Bruce!
Bruce?
He did it! He made the invites!
I'm so glad you all could make it.
He sent out the invites! Bruce Wayne assembled the Titans? So he got the missed call from Gar, then he must have gotten the missed call from Gar from before Cadmus attacked.
If you can unite, you can face any threat. But if darkness arrives while you're still cast apart, I truly believe that none of you will survive.
Bruce Wayne somehow miraculously arranged for us all to meet in this diner in the middle of nowhere to mansplain us into putting the Titans back together.
Yep. I'm sorry, Rachel. Gar needs us more.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah, get to Gar. They're cutting his fucking brain open. They're cutting his head open and shit. Get to Gar and then get to Dick. Yeah, get to Car, get Connor, get Crypto, break them all out, and then go after Dick. Yeah. Superboy can just walk in and out like that, or you can just, speed walk in and speed walk out. Al Azul? Al Azul? No, it's daytime. Bird comes at night. Maybe it's a daytime Al Azul.
At Adeline's, Slade was there. You were there. And yet, no killing. Why?
Jericho must be inside him.
And I was in Adeline's house.
It only took you 5 years.
Fuck you.
Oh. Oh, Jorah Mormont still got it. Jorah still got it. Oh, shurikens. Oh, and he caught the
wrong fight. And
batarangs.
again, not Robin anymore. Stronger, faster, like a bird of prey.
Oh, I like that. I very much like that. Oh, yeah, he's training in prison. He's training in prison. Yeah. Oh, his memories. His memories. Yeah. Oh, footage from season 1. All of it footage from season 1.
Wait.
Yeah, okay. Oh. Yeah, that was a tell. That was a tell. Jericho.
Why not?
Jericho's in Slade. How? Oh, Al Azul. Al Azul. Yeah.
Just calling to say this little game you're playing with the Titans.
Oh.
I'm out.
So she was working with Slade. She was working with Slade the whole time. She was playing them. Yeah, she was working with Slade the entire time. Or until now, that is. Yeah, now she's with Jason. Jericho's in there, though, isn't he? Jericho's in there. Okay. I can't imagine being able to do that properly without at least cutting yourself somehow. Oh, fucking Knight.
You okay?
Yeah, of course.
Well, I mean, she should still have power reserved, right? Because she was out and about during the daytime. There we go. Did he carve something? Oh, Jericho is alive. Ah. Wait, so he broke out already? Dick broke out already? Is he gonna turn?
Are you alright?
Have they brainwashed him? Oh, he's gonna turn. Yeah, they're gonna set him on the Titans. Oh. Oh, the hands. Oh, the hand is missing. Oh. What are they doing to my baby boy Gar? What are they doing to Gar? My baby boy. They're turning him into a monster. He would never do that. He would never do that. Not to a single member of the team. And now they've brainwashed him. They've winter soldiered him. They've winter soldiered him. That violin music is the equivalent of the Russian phrases from Civil War they use on Winter Soldier. That is the equivalent. They've brainwashed him. They've turned him into their own assassin. Oh. Ah, jeez, Louises. Oh, yeah. Okay, I want to start with the Gar stuff. The Gar stuff was traumatizing. Yeah, no, they were doing brain surgery on him. I figured that opening scene, like, they actually had his brain cut. Well, they had his head cut, and they had his head. They removed his scalp, and they didn't actually cut his brain apart. They just started prodding it with these electric nodes and whatnot, trying to see different things. And he was still awake and alive, and they had like a little brace thing around his head. So I don't know what that exactly did, because I was wondering, like, is it safe for him to be awake, like, and stuff, like. But then, I think the point of that scene was for them to actually find a piece of his brain, like a portion of his brain that would hold a specific memory that would be used to actually activate some kind of trigger, like act as like a negative trigger. So his argument with Rachel, when they prodded his brain in that specific place with that amount of power, it would it reminded him of his argument with Rachel a few episodes back, and then he shouted and screamed and stuff like that. So yeah, but that ending. So yeah, I think so. That is what they. So it's not so much turning him into an animal and locking him in. It's actually making him turn into an animal when they want him to. It's like this is their way, I think, of actually taking out the Titans. Because I think like Mercy is not stupid. She knows that the Titans are pretty much like a team connected to the Justice League, which is a team that has Superman, who is an enemy of Lex Luthor. So the Titans, they're not as big of a threat as the Justice League is, but they still present a very, 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 very valid threat, one that they would rather take out sooner than have to worry about later. So taking out the Titans here and now, I think, is probably in their best interest. So then their idea is to actually, is to essentially just Winter Soldier him, brainwash him into being their assassin, using the violin music as like a trigger. That when he hears that, he then transforms into a tiger and actually just kills it, just mauls it. Like that scientist, God bless her soul, she paid the price. She gave her life to make sure that this actually worked and everything. So I was wondering, because I think up until they showed him in that room with the scientist, it just kind of somewhat made sense to me that that Corey and Rachel might have actually gone back to Titan's Tower after they tried to find Dick, but no, it was actually all just like a scenario in his head that they were playing out, and then testing the efficiency of the violin track on him. and stuff. So yeah, that is terrifying. Baby boy Gar, he used to hate killing. He killed out of necessity once. He killed out of necessity once and out of protection for Rachel. And now they're just all willy nilly turning him into their own little animal assassin and stuff. And then they're gonna set him on the Titans, and they won't be able to fully stop him. I think Crypto might stand a chance. I think Crypto versus Tiger Guard. Crypto versus Beast Boy would be a cool fight to see. Like, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to see that, but at the same time, I know that, the Titans will have a hard enough time actually trying to take on Gar in tiger form. So, yeah, because I mean, turning into animals is Gar's power, but then I don't think he has any. I think he will still have the regular strength and speed and any biological skill sets that the animal with themselves. They're just like tigers are fast animals. They are agile. They have intense muscles and stuff like that. Like they are hunting animals. They are predators in their food chain. So he gets those advantages. But it's like it's not like he turns into like a super tiger. He doesn't have the ability to climb walls or scale buildings in any sense. But like a human would lose in a fight to a tiger. An untrained human would lose in a fight to a tiger, and scientists are basically untrained humans. So yeah, that much makes sense. But yeah, no, that I don't like that. I don't like that. They're turning him into a weapon, and I don't like it. But I guess it's what we have to deal with right now. So yeah, and so yeah, I think again, it reminds me of I think this is like a completely different context. This is a totally different context, but it reminds me of the scene from Hannibal. Like this is the one scene I've actually seen out of the entire Hannibal movie with the one with wait, no, it's not Jodie Foster. It's another one. I think it's still with Anthony Hopkins, but I think the scene I saw was from a movie with Julianne Moore, where she's at like the dinner table, and there's like I don't know what the actor's name is, but it's a guy. He Hannibal cuts open like his scalp and lifts it off, like takes it off like it's a freaking hat. Then he pulls back like a thing, and then he takes it like you can actually see the brain. And the guy himself he's been like drained of blood or drained of life in some way, so he's barely conscious and he can barely feel anything. So he just kind of has little to no resistance to what's going on. But it reminds me of that, like that guy was conscious for the most part during that scene. But again, that's a horror movie, like a psychological thriller slasher horror movie thingy, so completely different context. But with this, I was wondering if that was why they actually had the brain, the brace thing in place. That one probably more like so he doesn't actually move, because if they activate something particularly traumatic or particularly negative, then he might actually lash out and try and move. So then holding his head in place makes sure that they don't do too much damage with him moving about and stuff. So that would make more sense, yeah. But the way they cut his brain, the way they cut his head, they took off the scalp and stuff, so that they had like a nice clean kind of area to work with. But they didn't actually touch the brain in a way of actually taking pieces out or anything like that. Just performing some brutal brain surgery on him and turning him into their weapon again. So that was not so fun. But we didn't see any of Connor or Crypto. We didn't see anything from what they're doing to them. But yeah, even in the end, I think that there was like a sort of duality to it. There's a sort of duality to Mercy towards the end. Like she was orchestrating all of this, but even once she saw what Gar was capable of doing as a tiger, like once she saw that he will kill you like any other tiger, like once she saw that the other scientist actually being mauled by him, there was like a look of like a horror, like a look of shock on her face. But then once it actually happened. Once it actually happened, she actually had like a smile on her face. So I wonder if she because then I think that kind of facial reaction also paired up with her description of Lex Luthor, her kind of description of those events of Lex having created a being that's a combination of him and Superman, her explaining to Mercy that is something you don't want to be on the bad side of, everyone wants this to end as best as it possibly can, but we know with Lex involved there is no happy ending, there is no great ending, we just have to get it over and done with. So I feel with her, she's on the side of winning. She's on the side of winning and staying alive, or whatever that costs. So she knows that the stuff that they do is highly unethical and it's just highly criminal and stuff, but she also I think there's a part of her that's strong enough to handle it whilst also acknowledging the bad side of it, but there's also the part of her that now seeing Gar in action as a tiger, there is also the part of her that's actually still shocked by what's really out there and what's actually still kind of, exists, and like the kind of extent of the world of the weird that they live in. So yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, like her character intrigues me. I think her character in this intrigues me a lot more than in Supergirl. I mean, in Supergirl, her and Otis were made like a lot more obviously to be antagonists. They weren't really given much kind of, like dual roles. They weren't really given much kind of, much of that kind of expansive screen time. Like they were there to be the villains, and they were the villains, and they worked with Lex and everything. But with this one, with Mercy, I think she's just like she is the representative of Lex we see. She is basically his second in command. She's the representative of Lex we see. So, but at the same time, she is her own person. You can see that much. She has her own family. She has her own kind of role in this, and she's making sure things go to plan. But she's not like some kind of copycat of Lex. She does definitely still have her own kind of perspective on the stuff happening. She still has her own reactions to all the stuff she sees. So I like that about this Mercy. I like that. So yeah. And yeah, okay, so that thing with Jericho. So Jericho is alive. So Dick kind of discovered that much, looking back in his memories in his mind palace. But yeah, Jericho being alive. Okay, so I mean, okay, you know what? Thinking about it, I think it's not something that I guess would be completely unbelievable, because I think his power is possession. So I think if you think about it in that context of what you would do if you're about to die and you had the ability to do that, to project your consciousness into someone else's body, it's not something completely unbelievable. Like, just as his father kills him, he then tries to push himself into his father's body, so that way he has a way of surviving. So he loses his body is gone, his father killed his body, but then his consciousness, like his soul, if you will, is then departed from the body just as it dies, and then jumps into Slade. So then yeah, again, like in that, from that kind of perspective, it would then make sense. It would make sense. But then that changes up the story, because then he's been alive this entire time. But if that is true, if he actually did do that as he died, that means that this entire time he's also been in Slade's body. So then that for me, that raises more questions than answers. Like how much, pardon me, how much like control over Slade's body would he have? Because Slade would still have his own consciousness in there, and he would have his own body too. So it'd be, so so part of me wondered if it would be a case of of Jericho resting his consciousness up in Slade's body, or if it would be the two of them at points fighting for control, or what would happen. But I don't know, because then the motivations would come into question. Because then yeah, the motivations would, I think, would kind of come into question, because Deathstroke's motivations were to actually not only disband the Titans, but to make them pay for what they did. Because we saw back in that episode, we saw how we didn't see what happened to Deathstroke afterwards. Like, we didn't see Deathstroke walking away or trying to kill Robin, but then failing, or what happened. Like, we saw Jericho dying, and then it cuts straight to the Titans disbanding and leaving Titans Tower. We didn't see where Deathstroke went, or what he did, or what happened to him, or anything like that. So, from that perspective, you then have to question his motivations. Like how long has he been planning this? How long has he been planning to kind of? I think he stepped away maybe because he saw that the Titans were disbanded. Maybe once he saw that the Titans were down and Titans Tower itself was shut down and everything, then he saw that okay, the Titans are down, so the people who took my son are dead. But then, so then in those 5 years, would Jericho then have been resting up? Would Jericho have been building up power inside another person's body? Because I think the host body is dead. The host, like his original body, is dead, but then his consciousness is still in a foreign body. So I think if you're looking at it from that perspective, it would make sense. It would then make sense that he'd need time to actually adapt to this new body, especially in a much more permanent way. Like his dad shoved a sword through his heart and stuff, so he died from that alone. But then he would actually need time to actually adapt to Slade's body on a more permanent basis and actually get used to being in there. But then that raises the question of whether or not Jericho, Slade himself, actually knows that Jericho is in his body, or if he, Because I mean, I can't imagine Jericho himself harboring any kind of resentment towards the Titans, because he gave his life to save Dick. He loved the Titans. He was gonna be with them and stuff. But then he went for that one final meet with his dad in the church, and then Dick came along, and then the fight ensued. So I can't imagine he'd be harboring, too much, if any at all, resentment. But I suppose anything's possible. I think most of the resentment would come from Slade. Most of it would come from Slade. So yeah, I think in those 5 years, Jericho kind of stayed dormant and stuff, and maybe Slade had some idea or no idea that Jericho was in his body. But I mean, his mother must have known, because that's what his mother meant by they. Like she meant multiple people in that room. She meant Slade, as in his body, but then also Slade's consciousness mixed with Jericho's consciousness in one body. So yeah, I don't know. That just confuses me. But. Yeah, but then that, like, looking back through the memories on the TV screens, Jericho was signing. Jericho, like back when, back when I thought that Deathstroke was just a week after having fought or whatever, and he had like a scar on his face, and he was actually weak and he couldn't get up, but then he was actually signing something in his lap and everything. So yeah, I don't know. So I think maybe Jericho must not have too much control. He must not have that much control over Slade's body, because then I think he would then be fighting back against his father at any kind of given point in fighting the Titans. He would have, I think. Well, yeah, he would have, and also it makes me wonder if Slade knows, he would also know that. If Slade knew that Jericho was in his body, then he would also probably know that. Yeah. But I don't know. Just that whole thing. I think it's like, yeah, that's something I can't really come up with theories or like analysis on the spot too much about that one. It's something I'm actually gonna have to try and think about. But yeah, that is wacky. So Jericho is actually still alive. I mean, the projection stuff kind of makes sense. I can see that happening. So yeah. So just as he dies, he latches onto the nearest thing that he can. Like the nearest physical vessel that he can, so that he can actually preserve himself in some way. So yeah, so then his body is gone, his original vessel is gone, but then his soul still latches onto something which just so happens to be his killer, his dad. So that much makes sense. But yeah, motivations and stuff, I feel like that kind of rearranges stuff a little bit, but I guess we'll see as we move forward. But yeah, okay. So yeah, Corey had a bit of an existential crisis in this episode. She didn't really know what to do. She kind of expressed. She tried to hook up with. I think he was a psychiatrist of some sort, like a therapist of some sort, so someone with experience in dealing with mental health issues and different mental health patients. So he thought Corey had that kind of issue where she didn't really want to talk about her issues, but she needed to anyway. But yeah, Corey imagined that she was on her spaceship flying back to Tamaran to confront her sister, but in reality she was in an arcade game in Las Vegas. So yeah, I feel like Corey this season has, Corey's stuff this season has been very disconnected from the main plot. The main plot has become clearer and clearer that it is in fact Deathstroke and the old Titans business and stuff like that. So Corey's stuff with Tamaran and Blackfire and Fardai and everything, it's been super disconnected and pretty solo to her own story, but even that didn't last too long. So now I think in this episode we see her struggling with more of like an existential crisis that, not only has her sister taken over her crown and her place on Tamaran, but she's also left Corey on Earth. She killed Fardai and she also blew up the one method of transport back to Tamaran, so Corey's pretty much marooned on Earth. So yeah, I think she also made a good point talking about her story so far too. That in the last season she struggled being an amnesiac. She didn't know who she was, where she came from, why she was here. She spent, as the episodes went on, she discovered more and more about what her mission. Like last season, she actually had a mission. Last season, she had a mission when she was sent by the people of Tamaran. She had to kill Rachel and save Earth and save her world and all the other worlds and everything. So she had a mission last season, and this season, this season, as we opened up, we saw that Corey had like a new thing. Like to start off with, she was working with Donna. She was working with Donna to start off with, and then of course Faraday came back, and she was made aware of all the things going on back home. So then she actually started to get like a whole new story where we discovered she was royalty, and not only was she royalty, she was next in line for the crown. So she had all that stuff going on. But then as time went on, the crown kind of moved on from her. She kind of held off on she held off for so long on actually claiming the crown, that the crown then moved away from her, and then someone else, her sister, jumped on the crown as soon as the opportunity came up. So I think the way she explains her situation now, and the kind of depression it brings her, makes sense too, because then now she knows that she has no way of going back home, even if she wanted to. She has kind of no family left. Her parents are dead. Blackfire killed her parents and her entire court, so there's no one on Tamaran who could vouch for her as being the next queen of Tamaran and all that kind of stuff. And she's also kind of she just has she has little background left. I mean Blackfire, because she Blackfire clearly didn't really want Corey to go back to Tamaran, because she took out Faraday and she took out and then she took out her ship. So it was a way of actually keeping Corey on Earth, so the Blackfire could then actually reign free on Tamaran and then take more and more of that power. So Corey is then stuck, just being the alien on Earth, who's like a non-existent member of a former superhero team and everything. So yeah, I think it's like the fact that they address that, I think, is good, because I think the way this season's been going so far, like it feels like they came close to glossing over it. It feels like they actually came close to actually glossing over it and just not really addressing it much at all, and just jumping straight back into the Deathstroke stuff. But they actually, even if it wasn't much time, they still took some time to actually address the fact that Corey feels lost now more than ever before, because last time she at least had like the awareness and the opportunity to actually actively search for her, or for her history and for her origins and whatnot. But now, even with all that knowledge, she's still lost. She still can't go back. She still can't go to where she might feel like she belongs and stuff. And she's lost everything. She's lost almost everything she once had. So yeah, it's a very, very different playing field for Corey now. So yeah, I don't know how they're going to go forward with her story now, like with her now being stranded on Earth. But I guess we will see. We'll have to wait and find out. And yeah, we thought Rachel assembled the team. Going to Elko's diner. Like just I think he said like 50 miles or 5 miles off of Area 51 or something. Like some amount of some distance away from Area 51. Like I love that that's the exact location they used to measure the distance away from their current location. Like if you're on your way to see the aliens, then pop on by and pick up some donuts on the way too. Maybe you can introduce them to jelly and dough. Maybe. But no, that was cool. So yeah, but I have questions about that kind of assembly of the Titans, the Lady Titans of the team. Namely being how Bruce knew to take them to that location, because we saw Rachel had a dream. And like a flashy vision of going to Elko's diner. So then that's how she would know to go there. But then how would Bruce know to send the other Titans there too? Because he got the message to Corey and to Dawn using Rachel's voice somehow, and he also got the message to Donna. This is with Dawn and Donna. He got the message to them somehow with her voice. I mean, he's got technology, so you can probably kind of download previous phone calls and all that shit. But how he got the message how he how he managed to choose Elko's diner specifically, how he knew to send them there, I don't know. Or I don't know, because then it reminds me of how her powers told her to go to Dick. Her powers in season 1, Rachel's powers in season 1, like in the very opening episode, showed her the flying Graysons thing. She saw young Dick losing his parents. She was then made aware of Dick and stuff, and then she chose to go to Detroit and everything. So yeah, so then her powers sent her there. So then her powers could have actually known that Bruce was assembling the other Titans there. He must not have known about Rachel, but he would have known about the actual adults. He must have known about Dawn and Donna especially, because they were original members, but Corey too. He knew about them, so he was sending them there, but he didn't fully expect Rachel to actually be there too. Rachel, her powers detected that, Elko's diner was where she needed to be, is where Bruce would be, and yeah, I kind of like that cameo. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like that cameo, like Bruce being the one to actually assemble them all. Then, and again, like the one time he shows up for real, it's to actually meet the ladies and give them that kind of message of unity and hope and stuff. Whereas, as who said it? I think it was. Who said? I think it was. I think it must have been Corey, or was it Donna? I don't know. So someone said, how he mansplained to them that they needed to get the Titans back together. So Bruce, I think, I think as soon as I saw the pantsuit and the smart shoes, I was like, okay, this has to be a man of class, and there's only one man of class we know in this show, and that is Bruce Wayne. That is Bruce Wayne. So he showed up in his car, gave them an almighty mansplanation, and then he left in his car at the same time. So so Bruce is aware. Bruce is aware of all the stuff that's happened. He's aware of Deathstroke. He's aware of the Titans disbanding again after 5 years. So he's aware of all the stuff going on. So then he told them about how Dick is in prison and how he, he's mostly just aware of how the Titans disbanded again, and he knows that like threats are coming in the future that the Titans need to be together and ready for. So he knows that much. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Bruce needed to show up to deliver that message still amazes me. That Bruce is also the one they got, for that as well. I don't know. I mean, I'm wondering who else they could have gotten. Like, what other members of the Justice League could they have gotten to do that scene? Because Bruce doesn't have any connections to them at all. I think if it was someone Bruce was connected to, that I feel like that scene would have more meaning. Like, they all know Bruce, they all know Bruce Wayne, they know Batman, but none of them are personally connected to them. With Donna being there and being Wonder Girl, formerly being Wonder Girl, I feel like it would have made more sense for them to use that scene to introduce Diana Prince. I feel like had she come along and had she used Bruce to actually send the message out and to assemble them there, but then her being the one to actually meet them there and stuff. I feel like, again, like with her connection to Donna, that scene would have had that much more gravitas and severity to it. Like, her being aware of the Titans too, and her knowing that, her giving Donna more of like a speech of hope and unity and stuff. Like Wonder Woman is that kind of character. So I feel like if they'd use that, I mean, again, because this show clearly introduced us to Bruce Wayne as opposed to Batman. Like, Ian Glenn has been cast as Bruce Wayne, but not so much as Batman. So then I feel like they could have used this to do the same thing for Diana Prince too. I feel like if they had actually used her, it would have had that much more kind of sincerity to it. But with Bruce, it's like, he's just there to. It feels like he's just there to pass on a message, like come and go as he pleases. But with Diana, I feel like it would have been that much more connected, that much more well connected, and it like the kind of bond between her and the characters would have actually been that much greater. So yeah, I don't know. Just my kind of perspective. If it had Diana, then it would have actually worked somewhat better. And again, I mean, I think it wouldn't even be too difficult either, because they wouldn't need to introduce her as Wonder Woman, just as Diana Prince, the same way they've done for Bruce as Bruce and not Batman. So, I don't know. Maybe in Season 3 we can get more of the Justice League, but I don't know. Then we had Dawn driving out driving out of Wyoming, presumably, and she tried to throw away all of Hank's stuff, but she kept the photo. I agree with the photo. I remember seeing that photo back in Season 1 in their introductory episode. It was actually the photo on the wall, and it kind of showcases. I think looking at that photo, it showcases all the Titans except for Garth. Garth is the only original Titan not in that photo. It has Hank, Dawn, Donna, and Dick. But Garth is the fifth member, so I think it must have been either before he joined them, or no, I don't know, because he knew them from childhood, or at least he knew Donna from childhood. He must have known Dick from childhood too, because he knew Donna from childhood, from like the age of 12, and then Dick and Donna grew up together too, because Batman and Wonder Woman would work together, they'd meet up, so then Dick and Donna would meet up, so then he must have known them through them too. So then it wouldn't make sense for them to form the Titans and not have Aqualad join almost immediately as Hawk and Dove would have. So I feel like, I don't know, what the timeline of that photo would be. So then, because then it can't be after he died, because that was not like a time or a place for them to take happy, smiley, photos together. So it must have been, and like, I don't know. I feel like I might be thinking too much into it, but it doesn't make sense to me that, if he was a member of the original Titans, they take a photo like that and not have him in it. Like, they do have one, like, they have the Polaroid that Dawn took on his birthday, but this photo just seems to have those four. So, yeah, I fully understand her keeping that photo. It's a great photo. It's a great kind of memory for them for her to cherish. So that one photo makes sense. So yeah, Rachel's been having dreams. Rachel's having dreamy dreams of Dick's funeral. I thought my initial guess. I think I wasn't gonna say anything until we actually saw the headstone. But my initial guess was gonna be, it's Jericho's funeral. It has to be Jericho's funeral, and she's seeing what may have went down that day. But no, it wasn't just a dream. It was like a vision, like a parallel kind of, like a parallel universe kind of vision of Dick's funeral, and where he's actually killed by Deathstroke. So that scene was shocking to watch. Him actually getting like a sword through the chest from Deathstroke from behind as well, and then Deathstroke killing him again in a second vision. So yeah, and that girl showed Rachel her tarot cards. I don't know exactly how tarot cards work, but I've seen them in practice across multiple different kind of places in media. So I've seen them being used, but I'm not entirely sure how they are used. But the tarot cards, they usually have like imagery or symbolism on them of some sort that kind of represents what your future or what your life is going to be like. So I think she had one, she had quite a few, she had like three. I think she had three. One that showed like the moon and stuff, that like darkness and stuff, like a power inside, and also the final one, which was the Hanged Man, which was either that she would have to make a great sacrifice or suffer a great loss, and then she envisioned that the Hanged Man would be Dick. That it would be Dick. So yeah, I mean, I think that connects to Donna's line towards the end of like her describing Dick's situation as being, he put himself up on this cross, he can take himself down from it. So he wanted to pay for his sins, he wanted to pay for his crimes, so he hung himself up on the cross and stuff like that. So that could be so I wonder if that could be the Hanged Man. So that could be, I don't know. I mean, but I don't know how closely that kind of reference might come out. I don't know how quickly that kind of reference might come up in the season, because I don't know if that reference is there. I don't know if that reference is her either going to suffer a great loss by going with Donna and Dawn to save Gar, or if it could be her making. Would that be a great sacrifice though? I don't know, because like she envisioned Dick on the cross, but I don't know if that's actually a reference still to her sacrifice. Because I think that could have still been her visions coming into play, like her having had the dreams of Dick's funeral. But then I don't know if her hearing Dick's voice out of the card could have been a direct reference to that line, or if there's something else. But the girl did say that there's a darkness coming too. There's a darkness coming, and also that she'll have to make a great sacrifice or suffer a great loss. So I think we might be yet to see what that actually is. But then the great sacrifice, I think the great sacrifice might be, actually it's also obviously giving someone up or giving something up for the greater good or for something else, or maybe suffering a great loss by doing whatever. But I don't know. I do not know. But in the end, Dawn and Donna went back to San Francisco. They were going to find Cadmus and they were going to try and rescue Gar, and presumably Connor and Crypto too. So, I mean, they never met him. They never met Superboy. They only ever met Gar. They never met Connor or Crypto. So I don't know how that rescue mission is going to go down. But it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, they kind of. I mean, Dawn and Donna felt like, Dick was fine on his own, or that, they were aware of the fact that, he put himself in prison. Like, no one told him to go pay for his crimes. No one told him to. I mean, they don't know Deathstroke told him to, but they think that, this is kind of Dick's way of punishing himself for what he did. So, if he feels that he needs to serve some kind of penance, then he should go ahead and serve some kind of penance. So, yeah, I don't know, but they were pretty insistent that Dick could handle himself, and that they knew Dick, and especially Donna being like, she knows Dick, so he wants to pull the self-sacrifice move. He can pull it and then fight his way through it and actually do whatever needs to be done, and then he can find his way back to the team too. So that was that. But then at the end, Rachel and Corey did actually find the prison and fight off some of the guards and actually get into Dick's room. But then Dick was gone. Dick was gone after that. Dick disappeared, but not without carving one final message into the wall. So he, from his memory center, he figured out that Jericho was still alive and that he was still in Slade's body. So yeah, so he left that message for them. Jericho is alive. So what they do with the information, I don't know. If they might confront Slade about it at some point, or if they might try and bring the Titans back together to fight Deathstroke one last time and, you know, sort out the Jericho mess once and for all. But I don't know. I do not know. But yeah, that was that. The Dick and Bruce stuff was kind of fun. Again, we're returning to another kind of envisionment of Dick's internal mental torture in the personification and embodiment of Bruce Wayne, none other than Bruce Wayne. And I like that they actually had a fight scene for this. I like that they actually included a fight scene for this, because I think, yeah, you know, Ian Glenn is an aged man. He's an aged man, so casting him as Bruce Wayne and not as Batman made sense. Because, I mean, for one thing, the show is not something that focuses on Batman all that much. Like, even if we do see Batman, which we did last season, the season 1 finale, it would be on a stunt double where they actually never show the face and just show someone in a batsuit. But Ian Glenn, I think with this season, the clear route was that they wanted to focus more on who Bruce Wayne was and what he did more than Batman. Like, we've seen multiple iterations of Batman. We even have a new Batman coming out, you know, to the DC movie universe. So, you know, seeing another Batman isn't exactly mandatory. Seeing someone being cast as Bruce Wayne doesn't mean we have to. I mean, it would be cool to see Batman, but we don't need to see Batman. We've had like almost a dozen Batman already, you know. So seeing Bruce Wayne as Bruce Wayne, I think, is a much more interesting route to go down. So Ian, I mean, it being Ian Glenn, I think, you know, I think. I'm not gonna lie, I had doubts as to whether they could actually make him fight as Batman, because Jorah Mormont, as cool and badass as Jorah Mormont was in Game of Thrones, he is a very different character to Batman. He fights very differently. Jorah would likely be beaten by Batman. So seeing him fight as, seeing him fight with some level of martial art ability in this was really, really cool. Seeing him actually fight Dick, and I think especially like I said in the reaction, you know, him beating Dick and dropping him on his own ass. Like, you know, he taught Dick everything he knows. All the fighting Dick knows comes from Bruce, and all the material he gave him to digest, and all the kind of actual physical training he gave him. So you know, Bruce taught him everything that Dick knows. He didn't teach Dick everything that he knows. So to see him actually, and I think I like that. I think especially like my favorite kind of like one of the highlights for me was actually I'm pretty sure Dick actually threw his Robin shurikens at him. I think I couldn't really see them properly, but he did throw something. I assumed they were Robin shurikens or some other kind of projectile. But then as soon as Bruce catches them, it turns into batarangs. So. Yeah, I don't know if he actually threw shurikens to begin with, because again, he's not Robin anymore. He doesn't have the suit, doesn't have the gadgets or anything. So you know, he went to the extent of burning it and watching it as it melted away. But yeah, I mean, the gadgets, I mean, he might still have some of them, but the suit and the weapons for the most part is gone. And only the only other Robin suit he has, and the only other Robin gadgets I think he would have would be for Jason, because Jason is Robin. Well, for now. But yeah, so that fight scene was cool. And especially the dialogue during that fight scene, like the kind of evaluation Bruce was doing, or at least Dick was doing internally on himself. Being like, you know, you're not Robin anymore. You're stronger. You're faster. You're smarter. Like, you know, he's especially, I think my favorite line being, you know, oh, you're a new bird of prey. You're a new bird of prey. I know it's not a direct reference to the birds of prey, but it was still a cool kind of analysis on who Dick is now. He is a new bird of prey. Robin is one. He's now on his way. He's ever closer to becoming Nightwing. So yeah. So he's kind of analyzed himself. He knows that he knows he's still a fighter. He knows he still wants to be the guy that he was. He still wants to help people. He still wants to fight the good fight. He still wants to be a hero. And And I think I liked that I liked that his own envisionment of Bruce was Bruce kind of, you know, chastising him for wanting to punish himself so bad, like, you know, Bruce not really playing it off, but also kind of pointing out like another side of it, which was that, you know, he made a mistake and now he's kind of now, you know, from the internal Bruce's perspective of things, like he might actually be punishing himself more than necessary. But with Dick, he knows that he knows what he did was wrong. He got a kid killed through involvement and through kind of, you know, association, pretty much. So he knows that much, and so he wants to punish himself for that. He wants to punish himself for actually having gotten Jericho killed in the first place and putting him into that position. But he still knows that the world still needs the Titans. The world still needs the Titans. It still needs, you know, Dick to be something, to be someone. So, you know, like Alan's all was step 1. Step 2 is him being in this solitary confinement and actually talking to Bruce in his head and actually figuring out who he is, and also figuring out the truth. And also analyzing that, like that past interaction. That, you know, something about that interaction with Deathstroke. I was about to say Deadpool. No, with Deathstroke wasn't fully right. Something about it felt off. Something about it felt weird. And I think even in that moment, I mean, I registered Dick's kind of concerned facial expression in that scene more than I did Deathstroke's actual kind of, you know, like bodily expressions and like his sign language and everything. I feel like if I wasn't so focused on Dick's face, then I probably would have noticed something. But I mean that was also like a sign to me, like, you know, Dick kind of showing concern, like, you know, for Deathstroke acting weird was definitely a sign that, you know, something about it was off. But Deathstroke still got the last word in for the most part, so there was that. But yeah, so Dick kind of, you know, all in one kind of mental mindfuckery trip, he still kind of managed to assess himself and evaluate himself as like a new hero, as a new bird of prey, as a new vigilante, as a new hero, and he also managed to actually unlock the truth of the whole Deathstroke situation, that Jericho is still alive, and he figured out a way to stay alive, and he figured out a way to survive that attack on him. So yeah, I think it's a cool development. I think it's a fun little development. And yeah, and then we had the Jason and Rose stuff. So he took her. So first, they broke in to someone's house, someone's beach house, I presume, because there was a nice swimming pool, but then also a nice extended view of the ocean and everything. So they broke into someone's house and ate their food. God knows what that was. So somewhere outside Gotham City, the tagline said somewhere outside of Gotham City. So they did that, and then he took her to the place he stayed. I think it was like an old school, not his high school, but like an old school he stayed at. So he kind of explained, he gave a kind of broken down kind of explanation of his backstory, that, you know, his mum and dad were drug addicted, abusive, neglectful people. Like he didn't have the best parents. He didn't really have. I think he mentioned I think to Dick, like having grown up with like an uncle, but then even that uncle would just go out to poker nights and game nights and bars and shit and just leave him alone. So he's never really grown up in like a stable, secure, safe environment. So he grew up on his own, in and out of juvie, on the streets and stuff like that, and always like, you know, like doing like petty theft and petty crime and everything. Like, you know, he ran into Batman doing petty crime. He tried to steal the hubcaps from the friggin' Batmobile. So he gave her that kind of rundown, and then she was acting weird towards him, and then he got upset with her, and then I think, yeah, this is the first time I think we've seen Jason actually even trying to be open with someone. Like, you know, up until now we've seen his kind of almost his default setting is just being like a cocky, witty, sarcastic little shit. But with Rose, he actually seems to want to open up and seems to want to actually get to know her and be with her and everything, even taking the, you know, saucy pictures and everything with her, and, you know, being a couple and everything. So Rose seems to be the one person he actually gets and who gets him, and he wants to get closer to her, but then she seems to be backing off weirdly. So to see Jason in that position, I think it humanizes him a bit more. But I think I'm okay with that, because I think, you know, because he is still human. He is still a human being with issues and with, like, you know, different mindsets compared to other people. But it doesn't humanize him to the point where you can't really see him being Jason Todd anymore. Like, it still gives him that kind of background, and it still gives him that kind of edge and stuff that he needs. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I think he still, I think he still feels like he still feels like a character that needs to talk and he needs space and the time to actually get his words out and stuff, at least try and stuff, and instead of being like a closed off kind of friggin' like brick wall all the time. So to see them kind of presenting him in that way in this episode was fun to see. But I think deep down he still is Jason Todd. He still is kind of I think he part of him holds more resentment towards Batman now. I think part of him holds more, like he even said, fuck Wayne Manor. So he doesn't want to go back there. He doesn't want to go back to Bruce. Doesn't want to go back to him. I think even earlier in the season he told God that he feels more like a dirty kind of like a dirty favor to Bruce more than anything else. Like I think because I think Dick did ask him to help him open up the Titans Tower back in San Francisco, and then Bruce set on one condition. So the condition was obviously that he takes Jason with him, trains him to be a Titan, but also finishes off the training for him, because like Bruce said, he shows great potential, but there are still some rough edges that need sanding down. So Bruce needed Dick to do that. So yes, I think from Bruce's perspective, given the kind of complaints that Dick had about him, I think he must have seen it as like a way for Dick to prove to him and to himself that he could actually train Jason in a way that Bruce couldn't. So then, because of that, Jason saw himself as a dirty favor to Bruce, and like just like a reject of like a rejected sidekick sent to the Titans to because that's how he saw that because of Wonder Girl and Aqualad's connection and membership to the Titans. That's how he saw the Titans, like a team full of sidekick rejects and everything. So he felt like one of those rejects. So yeah, but seeing that kind of more vulnerable, more open side in him in this was fun to see. It was fun to see, but yeah, and he even knows some theater stuff. He's a thespian. He's a thespian, which I think is like another word for like a theater nerd or like a theater geek of some kind. But him and Rose seem to both know the same lines, the same line that he was reciting, so they connected over that. And then Rose, I think, Rose is definitely distant, and now we know why. Rose was in cahoots with Deathstroke the entire time. She even mentioned like this kind of plan you're playing with the Titans, this little game you're playing with them. I'm out of it. I'm out of it for good. And she even chucked away the phone she used to send him that message. So this entire time Rose had been playing them. She knew of Deathstroke's plan. She was in cahoots with him. She was in cahoots with his plan and everything. But now no longer. Now that she's with Jason, now she's connected with Jason. Now she understands the Titans. She deleted the message from Donna. Donna sent a message to Jason saying that saying that the Titans wanted Rose and Jason to come back. She needed them to go back. The Titans needed them. But then Rose deleted that message and then called up Deathstroke and said, this game you're playing, I'm out of it. Do whatever you want, but I'm not gonna play a part in it anymore. So I feel like she doesn't want to be with the Titans because I think she understandably hates the Titans. She understandably hates the Titans for what they did. They got her brother killed, or at least Dick. They used Jason. They used Jericho still. The Titans as a whole still use Jericho, but then Dick went the extra mile and that got Jericho killed. So she understandably holds disdain towards the Titans. But other than that, I think she still wants Jason. She's like, Jason left Titans Tower with her, so he's with her wherever she goes, wherever she wants to go. So she still loves him, or at least likes him. But yeah, I don't know. I do not know. But she is no longer in cahoots with Deathstroke, and she's no longer in cahoots with the Titans either. She's with Jason. So what happens from here on out with them? I think Jason might return. Jason might. If Dick finds him, or if he finds Dick, and he finds out that there is if he finds out that there is a plan and a way to stop Deathstroke once and for all, he might jump back in, and he also might be the only way to convince Rose to jump back into. And then that will bring on the end of season 2, and then we'll have to wait for season 3. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, Rose has been in cahoots with him the entire time. So that's fun. I think I wonder then if she knows about Jericho. If she knows, because again, Rose's involvement in this story, past, present, and future, has me confused, because she is in none of Jericho's backstory. She's in none of his backstory, and even now, all of a sudden, Jericho has a sister who tried to avenge his death and paid the one-eyed price for it. So, she all of a sudden she's in the picture and she holds a grudge against Daddy, but now it's revealed that she was actually playing in cahoots with Daddy all along, and now all of a sudden she's cutting ties with him because now she's with Jason. So like this whole kind of journey is boggling my mind. But yeah, I mean, somehow, I still enjoyed this show and this season for what it is. I think season 1 was thoroughly enjoyable. Season 2, it's a much rockier journey. It's a much rockier journey. There's some stuff that doesn't really make sense, some stuff that doesn't really add up too much, but I still kind of enjoy it for what it is. And I think it's just me. I try and enjoy things, even if it's just kind of this kind of. I don't know if it's like an instinct, but it's like, like in trying to be an optimist, I look for things that might even be, really bad. Like I look for good things and things that might just be genuinely bad. So with this season, I think a lot of people seem to have complaints about it. I've heard that, people aren't too happy with season 2, so they're not all that optimistic about season 3, but season 2 for me, it's been enjoyable. I've liked some of the stories they've shared. I've liked some of the stuff they've shown. Some of the characters could do with a lot more development, a lot more screen time. I won't deny that. But I have still enjoyed it for what it is, and I look forward to seeing how it all ends and how it all leads into the 3rd season and stuff. So, yeah, and I'm enjoying you guys being here with me, watching the show, and sharing with with my first time viewings and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That is pretty much all I've got from this episode. So on to the next one. We will see where Dick goes from here, how he escaped from prison, and what happened, and his journey to becoming Nightwing, hopefully. And we'll see how Corey and Rachel deal with stuff, and Dawn and Donna and Gar. I mean, Gar. Hopefully, Gar's okay. Hopefully they don't actually unleash Gar on the Titans, and hopefully he doesn't actually kill any of them. But I guess we'll see. And then, of course, the Rose, Jericho, and Deathstroke stuff. Hopefully we'll see that how that pans out, and if Jericho really is alive, and to what extent he's actually alive. If it's like how much of his consciousness might be in Deathstroke, and how much control he has over Slade's body. We'll hopefully see that too. Because again, if Jericho's really in there, I can't imagine much of the Deathstroke fights against Dick and Corey and everyone else would have actually gone down the way it did. But must be more of Slade, because Slade is the host of his body. Jericho is the passenger. Jericho is the passenger, but Slade is the host. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, that was Titans. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Once again, the full-length reaction will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that one over there. And yeah, that is it. So, I will see you guys next time.